I love Monday.com.
What's Monday.com?
You don't know Monday.com? This is Monday.com. It's a platform that helps us run our work, collaborate with other
I say a prayer every night. Whatever I do, I'll get it right. With no regret, no guilt, no shame. This time, no, not this time. Once I surrender, I won't dare look back. 'Cause if I do, I'll get off track. Move ahead in faith and patiently await your answer. What will it be? Sight beyond what I I say a prayer every night. Whatever I do, I'll get it right. With no regret, no guilt, no shame. This time, no, not this time. Once I surrender, I won't dare look back. 'Cause if I do, I'll get off track. Move ahead in faith and patiently await your answer. What will it be? Sight beyond what I see. You know what's best for me. Prepare my mind, prepare my heart for whatever comes. I'm gonna be ready, strength to pass any test. I feel like I'm so blessed with you in control. I can't go wrong, 'cause I always know I'm gonna be ready. I was free to do what I wanted to. Lost everything, but I still had you. You showed me your grace. Now my life's renewed, and I thank you. Yes, I thank you. So I'll tell anyone who'll listen. I'll testify about how good you were to me when so-called friends passed me by. The fact that you would show somebody so broke down, so much mercy beyond what I see. You know what's best. I know you know what's best for me. Prepare my mind, and prepare my heart for whatever comes. I wanna be ready. Give me the strength to pass any test. I feel like I know that I'm so blessed. You're in control, Lord. I can't go wrong, no. 'Cause I know that I'm gonna be ready. I'll be ready. So use me as you will. I'll pay the price. 'Cause you made the ultimate sacrifice. It's all because of you that I even have life. And I'll give my love as a tribute to how great you are. Sight beyond what I see. You know what's best. You know what's best for me.
My smiley man.
I'm gonna be ready. I wanna pass this test. I feel like I know that I am, know that I'm so blessed. You're in control of my life. I can't go wrong. And I know that I'm gonna be ready. can change the world, trapped inside an ordinary girl. She looks just like me, too afraid to dream out loud. And though it's simple, your idea, it won't make sense to everybody. You need courage now if you're gonna persevere. To fulfill the right purpose, you gotta answer when you're called. So don't be afraid to face the world against all odds. Keep the dream alive, don't let it die. If something deep inside keeps inspiring you to try, don't stop and never give up. Don't ever give up on you. Don't give up. Every victory comes in time. Work today to change tomorrow. It gets easier. Who's to say that you can't fly? Every step you take, you get closer to your destination. You can feel it now. Don't you know you're almost there? Oh, yeah, yeah. Gotta answer when you're called. So don't be afraid. has its ups and downs. Turn your pretty face into an ugly frown. Seems that when I fix one thing, another one comes, clouding up my vision. But I can feel the sun. I believe that I can do this. I know that I can win, just as long as I have His love within. I believe that I can make it. I can make it through the night. I believe that I can walk on with my head held high. I believe that I am special in every way. But in order to have my victory, I gotta believe. Oh, yeah.
Take your time and tell me how to make it.
I have to see myself at the finish line.
Talk about it.
I have to visualize that everything will fall in line. I have to visualize the land while riding through the storm. I have to trust in my Father and open up my heart. I know that I can do this. I know that I can win, just as long as I have His love within. I believe. Oh, yeah. I believe I can walk on with my head held high. I believe that I am special. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Every way.
But in order to have my victory, oh, heartbreak and heart pain, being let down, no one's around. I believe I can. I receive I can. And now I'm walking right into my victory. I believe that I can. I believe I'll walk on. I am special. Yes, I am. And in order to have victory, everybody help me say, oh, I believe. Oh, I believe. I'm gonna walk up with my head held high. I believe that there's nobody like me. And in order for me to have victory, I gotta believe. Yeah. Alone in a room, it's just me and you. I feel so lost, 'cause I don't know what to do. Now what if I choose the wrong thing to do? I'm so afraid of disappointing you. So I need to talk to you and ask you for your guidance, especially today when my life is so cloudy. Guide me until I'm sure I open my heart. Oh, yeah.
Good morning. Look here. Good morning. Just a slight delay, and we apologize for that. We're just waiting for a few more people to arrive, and also just to note that the session, or the memorial rather, is being streamed live this morning. Right, we will start in 2 minutes. Thank you.
I feel like I'm so blessed with you in control. I can't go wrong, 'cause I always know I'm gonna be ready. I was free to do what I wanted to, lost everything, but I still had you. You showed me your grace. Now my life's renewed, and I thank you. Yes, I thank you. So I'll tell anyone who'll listen, I'll testify about how good you were to me when so-called friends passed me by. The fact that you would show somebody so broke down, so much mercy, beyond what I see. You know what's best. I know you know what's best for me. Prepare my mind, and prepare my heart for whatever comes. I wanna be ready. Give me the strength to pass any test. I feel like I know that I'm so blessed. You're in control, Lord. I can't go wrong now, 'cause I know that I'm gonna be ready. I'll be ready. So use me as you will. I'll pay the price, 'cause you made the ultimate sacrifice. It's all because of you that I even have life, and I'll give my love as a tribute to how great you are. Sight beyond what I see.
Thank you. Can I just ask everyone to settle and be seated in the room? Good morning once again. Before we start, I would like for us to just go through some housekeeping rules for the people that are attending physically at Sasbo House. Can I please request that we put our cell phones on silent? If you can afford to have it switched off, by all means, please switch it off. The toilets, we have two here downstairs. As you exit, right there at the back, your immediate left, The one on the left is for the ladies, and then the one towards the right is for the gentlemen. And we also have 2 upstairs. For everyone that has parked at the mall, please make sure to hand in your parking ticket at reception, or rather exchange it for a paid-up ticket at reception. Just make sure you have the physical ticket because it won't be exchanged. All right. Thank you so much. I understand the governor is on his way. We will acknowledge him when he arrives. Let me start by welcoming and acknowledging the president of Sasbo, Comrade Titi Mafabatu, the management committee members of Sasbo, present and online, the acting deputy general secretary of Sasbo, Comrade Philip Landman, the former president of Sasbo, Mr. Moses Lekota. Not sure if he's arrived yet. Our former General Secretary of Sasbo, Sean Ulshach. Our National Office bearers of our COSATU Federation, led by the President, Zingiswa Losi, who is representing all affiliates present and online. Let me welcome Uni Global, represented here today, physically and online. All stakeholders, all our members of Sasbo, officials and colleagues. Lastly, I would like to welcome our guests of honor, the Kela family. We hope that the messages shared today will continue to bring you comfort. Let me say all protocol observed. Today we honor an unwavering dedication and tireless efforts of a true champion of workers' rights, Mr. or rather, our General Secretary, Ntate Joko Kela. Your passion, resilience, and commitment to fairness have made a lasting impact on the labor movement and the lives of countless workers in the finance sector. Through your leadership, you have fought for dignity, better conditions, and justice in the workplace, ensuring that every worker's voice is heard. Your legacy will continue to inspire generations to stand up for what is right and to fight for equality and build an equitable and just society. Thank you for making a positive difference. Your sacrifice and your unwavering belief in the power of solidarity. Rest in power. Your work will never be forgotten. In solidarity, Sasbo. Without any waste of time, my name is Rosemary Rauleka. I am the Deputy President of Sasbo and I will be your Program Director for the day. As we start, can I please ask everyone, if you can at home also to just stand up, and in the room, can we please stand to observe a moment of silence to appreciate our late General Secretary. Thank you. With any gathering, I believe that it is only right that we start with a spiritual message for the day. And with that said, let me welcome Mr. Terence Nkwashu to the podium to give us word for the day. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it is good to see so many of you this morning. I am not going to spend more than half an hour because I think the rest of the 2.5 hours, I myself would love to hear many, many voices that are going to come up stage just to celebrate, Brajo. That's how I used to call him. He used to call me Babamfundis. Every time he saw me, he'd say, Babamfundis. And then he'll just share scripture and he will always, always just have something to share and something to say to you. So, just maybe 2 disclaimers. The first one is the reason why I'm wearing a white jacket, not a black jacket, is because today I'm celebrating his life. I know that sometimes a black might be a symbol of mourning. I've actually mourned when I heard about his passing. I guess maybe that takes long, even for the heart to heal. But today I really just want us to celebrate Brajo. And so I think, and the second thing I just would love to say is that I am going to basically make reference to a scripture that Brajo used to like to talk about. I don't know if some of you, maybe he may have shared this with you. But when times were very difficult in my life, and I will just sit and actually we talk, he used to like to talk about Jonah. So I'm going to talk about Jonah as my scripture reference this morning. So let me just say to all of us gathered here, thank you so much. If from where I'm standing, I just have to say thanks to Sasbo for organizing this event so that we can really celebrate, Brajo's life. I always called him president. Even when he became a general secretary, I continued to call him press. And he really, really, really was just a great man. When you really listen to his story and also how the difference he has made in this union from way back when he started off until his passing, you'd know that there were 2 things about Sasbo. One, Sasbo was his life, was just everything to him. I think we all know that. The second thing is that, besides Sasbo being everything to him and being his second family, Brajo really loved his family a lot. I don't know if, Mama, you'll remember, I've been to your house, and I'm sure you were a little bit younger, much younger. You're a big man now. I've been to your home. You've actually served me with beautiful meals and drinks. And the reason why I was there was because he had welcomed me into his home. And he wanted to spend some time with me because I was going through a difficult time in my life. That was just Brother Joe and just how much he really cared about people. So allow me this morning to just maybe make reference to 2 scriptures before I come to the message about Jonah. I think some of you really find the story of Jonah quite interesting. But I think today you'll hear the other side of it because that's actually what I want to really talk about. So if you look at the book of Psalm 34, the Bible talks about the fact that God comforts those that are hurting, those that are in pain. He stays close to them. So just to the family, when you are in pain, you just need to know that God is always near you. He is always with you. For the Bible says, for the Lord is close to the broken hearts or to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So when you are crushed in spirit, God saves you. And also in verse 18, that is actually in verse 18. So when you really sit and think about life and you think about death, I know that it's easy to celebrate life, but it's hard to basically embrace and accept death and actually even celebrate the one that basically was there for you. Let me share 2 stories with you. The one is a story that really always sat in my heart. In 1977, So I was born in 1970. So in 77, I was 7 years old. I had a brother, his name was Abednego. So Abednego lived for 3 months and he died. So as a 7-year-old, I never understood what was going on. But the memories of Abednego stayed with me all my life until this day. I mean, of course, I'm now 54, going on 55 in June. So I'm not young anymore. I'm not as young as I used to think I was. But what I want to tell you is that when I lost him, in those days, some of you would remember that at the graveyard or at the cemetery, children were not allowed at the cemetery, and I was told that I couldn't go. But because I was so close to him, every time my mom was doing stuff, he was with me. So he was always with me. And I thought, no, you know what? I'm not going to just sit here as a 7-year-old, the mind of a 7-year-old, and not see where my brother ends, where they're taking him. So I followed them, they chased me away. Interesting enough for them, when they got to the cemetery, they found me waiting at the gate. But what it meant is that I literally had to walk through the bushes and had to cross a river somewhere just to get to the graveside. And when they basically had to put, you know, when you put soil back in the grave, I was the first one to do that. They allowed me in because I was there. Until this day, I even still remember every single thing. You know, it's almost like it's a movie that plays in your head. Why am I telling you the story? It's because I spent the better part of my life not understanding, but why should a child die at 3 months? I never understood that. Until time came when I understood that from when you are a minute old, or even when just as you are born, you are old enough to die. All that it means is that the purpose you need to serve on the earth, only God knows, is not measured by the period, by how many years you live. It is actually measured by what you have done, the impact. So I even remember I was working with a lady. I worked for Absa for 12 years. So it was also one of the ladies that I was working with. Her son's wife, I think, they had a baby. The baby was born and the baby died, I think, maybe after a few minutes. And when she fell pregnant again, they called me to say, can you go pray for her in the hospital? Because they were afraid that the previous baby only lived literally for just a few minutes. And I remember going to pray and saying, Lord, please, I trust you. Because then she was pregnant at the time that, you know, she will basically then, you know, give birth to a healthy baby. And actually, the truth is, last time I checked, she had 2 beautiful children. So I just know that the Lord is always there for you. So I believe that, you know, Abednego, for the 3 months that he lived, he served a particular purpose. Certainly in my life, I got to understand and embrace death in a different way, where I got to understand that when God brings you onto this earth, and you fulfill a particular purpose, when you're done, it's okay to go. Guys, don't hold too much onto life sometimes. I know you fight the battles, you do what you need to do. But when sometimes time comes that God has to call you home, it is okay. And even those that you really love, it's painful not to have them. But I always want you to embrace the memory, to embrace what they meant to you. Let me just share the second story with you. This one I heard from one pastor. He was ministering, and he told a story about a 5-year-old girl who ended up in hospital. The parents had just gotten divorced, but when she was in hospital, and it was so acrimonious that dad wasn't talking to mom, and she was in hospital, and it looks like the situation was very bad. But when she was in hospital, she kept shouting her father's name, that she wants her dad. And at some point, the mother had to go looking for the dad to come to the hospital. Good to see you, Brother T. To come to the hospital. And eventually, dad came to the hospital. So this is how it happened. And I think there's power in this. When he arrived in the hospital and walked to her bed, without saying anything, what she did, she took her father's hand and put it on her chest. And she took her mother's hand and put it on top of his hand, and she died. So, and after that happened, they reconciled, they came together, and they had even other children. So basically, the 5 years of her life was really to reconcile that family, to bring the family together. That was 5 years. I always say, if you ask me today, if God said to you, I'm giving you a choice, Terence, would you choose to have heard Abednego for 3 months and not to have him at all? What choice would I have made? I can guarantee you, I'd have made the same choice to say, you know what, Lord? Let me have him for 3 months, because I'd rather have him for 3 months and not have him at all. I will make that same choice over and over again. So Brother Joe lived his life. He fulfilled his purpose. And when God had to call him home, make peace with it. It's okay. He's called him home. You'll see he's done what he needed to do. You know, when he tells stories about Sasbo, I'm just really waiting to hear from a lot of you what you're going to say about his life and about him. Because I know that the impact that he made was really, really huge. Not only in the lives of people that he worked with here in Sasbo, but in the lives of people that he touched everywhere he went. And I know that a lot of you knew he'll have to tell stories. He'll always just tell you a story, whether in the Bible or not in the Bible. And he liked to quote things. So he was just an amazing, amazing man. I want to hear more. So I'm going to end, like I said to you, I'm not going to speak for more than half an hour. I'm going to end with a story of Jonah. And there are 3 lessons I want us to learn from this story. So I'm not going to tell you the story because you all know the story. So lesson number 1 in the story, if you read all the 4 chapters, you will learn that a lot of what happened, the Bible says, and God caused, and God sent. So even when he went to where God wasn't sending him, because God sent him to go to Nineveh, and he went his way, the Bible says, and God caused a wind, a strong, a mighty wind, to blow in the sea. This is what's interesting. When the wind was blowing and the sailors were afraid, guess where Jonah was? He was somewhere on the side, fast asleep. When the poor sailors were really struggling, not knowing what to do, the man who basically caused it was really fast asleep, just having a good time. So one thing for sure is that sometimes God will cause certain things to happen in your life, but for a particular reason and purpose. The second thing that I want us to maybe learn from it is that when Jonah, and I think when you remember this story, you remember the negative side of it, that God sent him to Nineveh, and he basically went his way. That's what you remember. But what you don't realize, and I'm just urging you if you're interested, go and read the rest of the book. Because the Bible says after the big fish or the whale basically threw him out, and the Bible basically says, and God actually sent a big fish. And God commanded, it's almost like spoke to the fish to basically spew him out in the land, into the land. So God basically then was there with him all the time. So when I think about this, I am married, right? If I disappear for 3 days and my wife can't get hold of me, and I come home after 3 days, and this is what happened to me, what happened to Jonah. And I say to my wife, honey, I was away for 3 days. So she says, where were you? I said I was on a boat. And what happened is they throw me into the sea. And a big fish came. What do you think is going to happen? So are you telling me for 3 days you were in the mouth of a whale? Yes. What do you think is going to happen? So unbelievable as it is, it did happen. But here's the thing. If you read chapter 2, the Bible talks about the prayer of Jonah. The first words that Jonah says is, Lord, you heard me. You hear me, even from the belly of the fish. Even when you are in the belly of a fish, when you open your mouth and begin to pray, God hears your prayer. Read his prayer in the 2nd chapter. You will see that he says some of the most profound things, in there. And God heard him. So it doesn't matter where you are. God hears you when you call on his name. So the second thing I wanted to talk about is that when he went to Nineveh and God was going to destroy the place in 40 days, and he told the people and the king, they repented. This is the beauty about it. They repented, they fasted, they all prayed, and God forgave them. So when God forgave them, he got so upset, Jonah, because, his mission was not accomplished. His mission was to go and get the city destroyed. But here God is having mercy and grace over the city. And Jonah became so upset. You know what his words to the Lord were? He said, well, God, rather you let me die than for me to really have to live through this, to see this. He couldn't understand why God could forgive, because God can forgive anybody. God can forgive anyone. It doesn't matter what you have done, where you are, what your history is. God can forgive you. So the last thing that I wanted to say is this, what we learn from the story, which is so powerful. Jonah goes outside of the city, goes to the east side of the city, and it was so hot. He made himself a shade. This is the last thing I'm saying, so 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes, I'm going to sit down. This is now what Jonah does. He basically then makes himself a shade because it was so hot. But the shade was not enough, and the sun was really burning him. Now here is what God does. The Bible says, and God caused a vine. He made a vine. He brought a vine to him and made the vine to grow into a tree that made a shade for him. All right? So God basically then, other translations say God caused a seed. He brought a seed to him that grew and became a tree for the shade. So he was chilling under the shade, this beautiful shade, this beautiful vine tree. And he's like, it's nice, it's cool. He's thankful to the Lord. But here's the thing. The Bible says the following morning, what God does, he causes a worm to basically eat the vine, eat the roots of this tree, and the tree dies. So the same God who caused a vine, who brought a tree to him, that covered him, that gave him a shade, it is the same God that caused a worm that actually came and ate the seed, that ate the roots, and basically the tree died. Sometimes, and this is the beauty of it, is that God will bring a shade onto your life, and then the next morning he could take that shade from you. So here is the thing, is that if Joe was that tree that covered you as a family, and you enjoy the shade for so long, and all of us as friends, it's not only just his family that Joe impacted in a positive, all of us, he did that. To many of us, I know even in this room, Joe was like that tree, isn't it? He was that tree that basically, it was that shade that a lot of us you could go into. And the beauty of it is that he always had the right words. For those of you who were that close to him, as I was, he always had the right words to say. Some of you might wonder, we don't even know who you are. So if you've been in the scene the past 3-4 years, you won't know who I am. But if you'd been around before then, the previous 12 years, you will know that there was a time that I even worked for Sasbo. And I was in and out here. So, and of course, then I left. The reason for that was because God called me into ministry since I was young. And time came that I had to literally just accept to say, Lord, I've been in corporate, I'm happy, I've done a lot of it. But now it's time for me to really, I'm grateful for what I've learned. But now it's time for me to literally just spend more time, in the ministry. So with all of these words, I want to say to the family and to the friends, The fact that God has brought a worm that ate the roots of the tree and the tree is no more, it's all basically in God's purpose. That's actually what God had done. Be thankful, be grateful that God had given you that shade. Be like that couple that came together because they are 5-year-old. Her main and primary purpose for being was to bring them together as a family. Be like my brother who reminded me that actually in life, you come in here, God has given each one of us something that we came with on this life. And there is a purpose of which we are born. But when we have done that, it is okay to go home. So family, be comforted. I want you and the rest of the family, the Sasbo family, all the banks, all the friends and everyone, celebrate Brother Joe's life. Celebrate his life. Continue. Tell stories about him. Think about him. Just honor him. Honor his memory. And be grateful that God had given you such a wonderful man. And the fact that he has taken him, let him be glorified. So thank you so much. If you will allow me to say a prayer, let us close our eyes. Father, we just want to thank you as we are here this morning, gathered to celebrate Joko Kela's life. We thank you, Father, for his life. And we thank you, Lord, that even when time came that you took him, we know that you took him. He is safe. He's in your bosom. I know, because I've had conversations with him, that he knew you. I know that he loved you. And I know that, Father, you were always with him. You walked with him. So thank you for his life. I pray that, Lord, you continue to comfort his family. You continue to comfort the Sasbo family. You continue to comfort his friends, his colleagues, everyone that he had impacted in his life will really and truly miss him. I pray that, Lord, you comfort them. Just turn their mourning into joy, that they celebrate his life, that they remember him, and then when they think of him and remember him, they smile deep from their hearts to say, Lord, thank you that you had given us such a man. So we give you glory, Lord, and we give you honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mkashu. Indeed, it is amazing what one can achieve through faith. And we are encouraged to lead with purpose. And he is indeed a forgiving God. I would like to welcome and acknowledge the Governor, Mr. Leseja Kanyaho. Governor, I will hand you the podium to say a few words. Thank you.
That's a surprise. I just landed from Cape Town this morning. I didn't know that I would make it, but thanks, program director. And I looked at the program and I saw there were lots of banks speaking, and I was grateful that I will not talk interest rates, which was so I got surprised. It's going to be difficult to follow that act of Mr. Ngwachu. And part of it had been that I had known Joe from both sides. I worked as an accountant for COSATU, and at the time there was a COSATU affiliate that was trying to recruit in the finance sector. It didn't quite gain traction like it happened those days, that union ended up actually splitting into two. And it touched me that when I started working at the Reserve Bank, Sasbo had decided to become an affiliate of COSATU. So that ventures of that union came to an end because there could only be one finance union. In 2001, I was tasked with the responsibility of negotiating the financial sector charter on behalf of the Treasury. And I'd had to work with Sasbo until the charter was finalized. I do not know whether the gentleman was a general secretary or a deputy general secretary. Ben Fenter was the name that we'd had to negotiate with. And it struck me because it said to me that the representatives of Sasbo at the Reserve Bank clearly didn't understand the policies of the Reserve Bank, because on at least 5 occasions when I came out of the canteen, they tried to hand me forms to join Sasbo. And a couple of years ago, then Brajo started a tradition of having an annual meeting with me, and we would talk about the behavior of my negotiators and the behavior of his negotiators. And one of the things that came was, well, if you're not happy with it, maybe we should escalate it to ourselves. That was enough to scare the negotiators, because they didn't want matters to be escalated to Joe and I, and an agreement will somehow be reached without Joe and I meeting. And as such, our meeting would always be, we are glad they reached an agreement, and we didn't have to negotiate that. But for the family, we would like to say thank you very much for allowing us to share Joe with you. I've got no doubt that we actually dominated you. Joe spent most of his time here and managing the stakeholders. But John, and also he understood the power of relationships, because Sasbo lost its majority at the Reserve Bank. And we talked and said that doesn't change anything. You are still a very important stakeholder. We will still talk to you. We will still negotiate with you. It doesn't matter that you are not the majority union. You are an important stakeholder. And he tried hard to get the majority back. And I said to him, Brajo, it's not going to happen, because we are such a good employer. People do not see any reason why they should be part of a trade union. But he never gave up. I got a message which struck me in December, because the message came from one of the negotiators who said that it's going to be tough negotiating going forward, because that moderating voice is no more. And they sent me this thing, and I was nowhere near here, so I couldn't attend the farewell of Brajo. But I am glad that Saspo had deemed it fit to organize this memorial service, so that we can talk about the life of Brajo, and we could celebrate the life of Brajo. And to the family, as far as I am concerned, Mr. Nkwanishu, the worm didn't succeed to eat the tree. That shade is still here, and we are enjoying the shade. Thank you very much, family.
Thank you so much, Governor. You actually just proved that a leader is always ready. Thank you so much for that. I'm trying to figure out a word to use to address everyone. You know, in Sasbo we say comrade. So I'm not sure if I should call everyone comrades, if you'll appreciate it. You know, colleagues. Otherwise it's going to be very lengthy, but I'll stick to comrade. Today we're in Sasbo House, and we are all comrades. Governor, thank you so much for your words of encouragement and sharing your experience and story and journey with GS. So you'll hear me referencing a lot to GS. I've never been comfortable saying Comrade Joe. Yeah, we do not call our elders by their names. Comrades, we're going to be very, very strict with time. We do know that Comrade GS was a storyteller. So please, of all the lessons that we take today from the messages that are going to be shared, let storytelling not be one of them, right? And we be mindful of time, right? We are scheduled to end at 1 o'clock. Let me not waste any further time and ask our representative and stakeholder from Absa Bank to please come to this podium. Mr. Thabo Mashaba, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, we can smile, it's still okay. So, Governor, I was on the program, so I had some time to prepare my mind about what I'm going to say. But I loved your story about being persuaded to join the union. I actually succumbed to that. And I did join. I was not supposed to because I was a representative of management at Absa in negotiations. But I joined that for one reason, because the union was cunning. So every time they will send messages to employees and I will be blindsided. I wouldn't know what they were saying. And I said the best way to do is to join the union so that I am one of the distribution list, or I'm on the distribution list for anything that will help me with negotiations. So that happened. And good afternoon to the family as well. We're very sorry for your loss. And for the colleagues that I haven't seen in a long time, good afternoon to you. Actually, it's still morning. Good morning. And for the Sasbo representatives, and good to see you, Sean. I haven't seen you in a long time, and condolences to everyone that loved the big man that we are celebrating his life today. I thought about what I'm going to wear coming here. Normally I'm in suits and ties and formal wear and all of that. But coming to this house, Sasbo House, I never came in suits. For all the time I interacted with the union, specifically the General Secretary, and during the days when he was the president, I dressed like this. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the Sasbo t-shirt, because even during negotiations, I would wear a Sasbo t-shirt, a t-shirt that the team gave me. And this is the attire that Joe wore when he was at work. So I thought, to remember him, I will wear the way that he did. And I prepared some few notes as well. I have fond memories of Joe. A brother, a co-worker, a dear friend to me and many of you as well. Joe was a remarkable man whose wisdom and passion for helping others left an indelible mark with us, with his passing. His dedication to solving disputes and fostering understanding was not just a part of his job, it was his calling. Joe believed in the power of dialogue, and he used his talent to build bridges, both within his organization and also in COSATU and other stakeholders that he dealt with. He used to tell us about his 7-point plan whenever we brought management into Sasbo, and he loved it. Every time he would forget, he told us before, and he would tell us again. That showed the passion that he had and the commitment that he had in creating lasting legacies and lasting change. Joe devoted his precious time to both Absa when he was an employee with us for many years as a general manager, and then when he became a president, he was still employed by Absa. We seconded him here. And until such time that he then transitioned to be an employee of Sasbo as a general secretary. Joe was big in fostering relationship. It fostered the relationship that we had that endured for a long time with Absa. And we have that legacy now with his passing. I will always cherish our memory. We traveled together to Tanzania. We had a very delicate relationship in Tanzania for our bank and the employees in Tanzania, where we worked together on the dispute resolution project, which we succeeded. That experience was just one of many ways his vision and leadership shone through, like when he signed the partnership agreement with Sasbo, an idea that was solely his own. That was unheard of, that a union and an employer will have a partnership, because they didn't know, people didn't understand how could that be. But the partnership was not because the union was subservient to the employer, but it was in the understanding of how we can work together, how we'll conduct each other in our negotiation table whenever we negotiate. Let us remember Joe for the man that he was, passionate, dedicated, and always lending a hand where he's required to. His passion for people and his unwavering commitment to their well-being will forever inspire us. We must carry forward his legacy, ensure that his contributions are never forgotten. Joe, you left us too soon, but your spirit and impact will remain with us always. Thank you for your lasting relationship with us. Thank you for everything, my good friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mashaba. Indeed, GS, he was a father. He was a peacekeeper, to a lot of people. I think even I can say that, we rarely agreed in the boardroom, if at all, right? And I would leave feeling really bad that, did I just speak to GS like that, right? And then I'd come back the next morning and he'd welcome me with open arms. That is the man that GS was, a father. Let me call to the stand our representative from Nedbank, Mr. Mxolisi Khatsibe.
Thank you, Program Director. Good morning, everyone. And I acknowledge the different stakeholders here. Acknowledge you, Governor, and acknowledge the leadership of Sasbo. Acknowledge our fellow stakeholders in the finance sector, and so it's a great honor and privilege for us to be here. And above all, I would like to acknowledge Brajo's family. I called him Brajo, and I worked with him. Yes, so I'd like to acknowledge you. And before we share messages, I think our message as Nedbank to the family comes from the book of Psalm 91. There's verse 4 there, and basically which reads thus: He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. And with those words, I think that's what we wanted to share with the family on behalf of Nedbank. Yes, I think if you listen to the speakers that have spoken here, there's a common thread about Brajo, the father figure, and Brajo, the peacemaker, the deal. And every time we walked into this, I'm a frequent visitor to this building. I'm a frequent visitor because I believe that it's quite important that we seek guidance and wisdom where we can find it. And Brajo has always been that constant person that you're there. And what people don't know is that, I mean, even in instances, I think my colleague from Absa has mentioned that they've traveled to Tanzania. I remember 2 years ago, we had some difficult relationships in Namibia with Nedbank, and the trade union, the finance trade union in Namibia reached out to Brajo, and Brajo said, okay, don't worry, I know who to call. And he gave me a call, and we met here, and we basically then prescribed medication to the to the stakeholders in Namibia. And when I called him last year, my message was, our medicine worked, the relationship is perfect, the salary negotiations and engagement took a day. And that's testament to the medication that we prescribed sitting here in this building, and we prescribed to the stakeholders in Namibia. And so that's an example of Brajo being that peace builder and that relationship builder. And that is the person that we're going to remember, and that's the person that we're going to miss. And I think the governor did mention the fact that we have a strong finance union in the finance sector. For some of you, you might take that for granted because you've not worked in other sectors. But if you've worked in other sectors, witnessed splintering of unions and all that, you cherish the fact that you have a strong voice that is united and all that. And my message to the Sasbo leadership is that that is the legacy of Brajo that you must preserve. You must preserve a strong, united union. Don't take it for granted. Industries have collapsed, industries have struggled because of power struggles that have ensued within the unions. You find that the unions that are competing were once upon a time being part of the same union. Don't take it for granted, and that is my message to the Sasbo colleagues, that the financial sector does need a strong voice. Continue to be that strong voice because it benefits our sector and it benefits our country at large. It provides a basis for stability as we know who we're engaging with. And I'm not going to stay long, Program Director, you warned us about time, but we want to say farewell to Brajo. You've played your part, and it's up to us to pick up the spear and continue to run the race. Engosi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Khatsibe. Let me call to the podium Mr. Sifiso Lukele, our stakeholder from Standard Bank.
Sanborn. I'll start with the family. We didn't think a day like this will come, but it is what it is. We thank God for his life and his contribution, and to my fellow contributors, and we acknowledge you, Governor. Great work. Let it continue. We want to acknowledge the leadership of the union. Joe was very close to me, both as a person and as a finance worker. There's a lot I can say. I think Thomas has touched on a number of things. I was with him in Tanzania You can imagine somebody who works on the union side, who comes in to assist the unions to understand employment. He really modernized the unions in that country. And he was sometimes shuttling between rooms, tired. We worked right into the night. And I remember his first meeting with Barclays when Barclays came in and we had to go to Kenya. He got so angry. He said, I'm going to stay this one, don't be shocked. And he did. But I think for the first time, our English friends understood Africa for what it is, not for the romance of the safari and all the other beautiful things that go into movies. And we signed that partnership that Thomas is talking about, which was more than just a partnership between Sasbo. It was now a partnership between the unions in the continent and Barclays. We have been to many places with who I would call, sometimes I forgot, either the press or I was learning to call him GS. I'm glad that, Moses, you are here. I think they acknowledged you. I haven't seen you. I don't know if my eyes, when you grow, it happens. And I'm glad that you are here too, both the president, sitting president, and his deputy. A lot has happened in Sasbo. I want to say that. We've been part of this Sasbo. Whatever you do, speak to one another. Speak to one another. I'm not going to stand here and pretend that we don't know what has been going on. Not all of it. I think it is my place, and Joe would have said, yes, I agree. And yes, Kela did play quite a part in what I'm talking about. And some of us have had some very strong words with him. If he was here, he would acknowledge that. But it was not the first time we talked. We come from far. There was a time when there was quite some ructions. About 5, 6 years ago, we met in restaurants in the morning with quite a number of people, and we talked about don't do anything worse than what we have seen. I want to say to Sasbo, both the elected and appointed officials are the soul of the organization. None will succeed without the other. You need to move forward as a unit and do what is necessary. You are known for solutioning. It will be quite bizarre on the day when you can't solution yourselves. I will not say much. I just want to say, may the spirit of Joe remain with us, but may we also remember, as Madiba said, when people kept on pushing for him to make public appearances, he said, I will say the one word now. I've done what I need to do. It is all in your hands. And to be thankful, I would say to us as a collective, we are available if you need people to facilitate and to talk to yourselves. And I think it is time that we have facilitated talks. Joe was quite great at it, by the way, but it's time. This is the time. When Jesus healed the 10 lepers, they went away. But one came back. When Jesus heard his thanks, he said, "Where are the 9? Where are the 9? Were they not 10?" That this Samaritan, who is not even from my own people, was the only one that came back. We came back to say thank you to Joe for his great work. I'm not going to regale you about the stories in Liverpool where we went, and also in Ghana where we went, and many other places. I want to just end with, in your hands, you have a union that is more than 100 years old. It will be a shameful and embarrassing day if we stood on the way and we destroyed it. I thank you.
Mr. Lukele, thank you so much for your words. Indeed, we have listened. We are listening, and we can assure you that as I stand here, the leadership of Sasbo strives to do what is right, not only for its employees, but also for the 63,000 plus members that rely on it. Just to support, what you just said, I would like to quote the late Bishop Desmond Tutu. I open quote. He says that God places us in the world as his fellow workers, agents of transfiguration. We work with God so that injustice is transfigured into justice, so there will be more compassion and caring, that there will be more laughter and joy, that there will be more togetherness in God's world. Thank you so much, sir. Let me call on the representative and our stakeholder from SBV, Mr. Hamilton Milani. Apologies.
In an occasion like this, I feel it is appropriate to begin with a quote from St. Augustine of Hippo in the early 400 years AD, in the 4th century, when he said, "It seems to me that an unjust law is no law at all. It is ultimately a problem caused by people who deviate from good or just behavior." That's what the president stood for. He's still my president, Mr. President. Okay? That's what Joe Kela stood for all his life. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hamilton Melani, the Chief Operating Officer from SPV. I have known the president for 17 years. And I would like to acknowledge the Kela family, man. Thank you for sharing him with us. Governor, I'd like to acknowledge you, President, and the rest of my colleagues. He left his cushy job. He worked for Absa. I see Mashaba, Baba Sfiso, when we were all together at Absa, to come and fight for the injustices. The unjust laws in the country have been dealt with. We are now left with unjust behavior. That's what Joe dedicated his life for. We have laws, we know what's right, but we just choose not to do it. He didn't have to do it. He could have chosen to be like one of us, all of us, sit in our cushy jobs and say it's somebody else's job. 60,000 employees today. That means that hundreds and hundreds of thousands of employees in the banking sector are today enjoying the fruits and the labors of the president. I salute the president. Chair, I know you saying this is not the time to mourn. It is still a mystery to me that we are sitting here today and remembering him. It happened this thing when I was in Port Elizabeth. I could not come, like many of you. This time around, we usually sit and we strategize, myself, Ravina, my colleague, and we strategize about the year. We deal with difficult issues outside of the forums so that we can deal with the unjust behavior outside of the forums, because that's what he dedicated his life for. Today we're sitting here. Well, only God knew the plan. Today we are here to celebrate his life nevertheless. Chair, I'm not going to tell stories. I'm going to make examples. I'm an engineer. It's not a story, it's an example. Most of us negotiated here in this room. I don't know if it's just me. He used to have one of those, we negotiated one day till 1 o'clock in the morning. He used to have this thing of, so we'll have lunch, we'll organize for everything, okay? And he used to have this thing of, there's one other thing. Let's say you'll negotiate, you think you're about to make a deal, he'll say, Baba Melani, there's one other thing that I want us to deal with. You're like, okay, no, at least there's one thing from the agreement. That team, you must make sure that they are all looked after, all of those things. You agree. You go caucus, it's after lunch, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You think, okay, well, by 3 we should be gone. Then you're done. Then he will be like, one other thing, Baba Melani. The salary scales. I know the banks, they sometimes have different salary scales. Let's go and talk about that salary scale. You go, you caucus, you come back, you deal with, okay, now it's 6 o'clock now. 6 o'clock, there's one other thing, man. We left here 1 o'clock. And you end up giving in stuff that you should not have given in. That's Joe. He was a tough negotiator. It is very easy for the 60,000 members out there to wake up in the morning and throw your toys out of the court just because you didn't get what you wanted. A good negotiation is when both parties walk away feeling a bit bruised. When people have spent their lifetime sitting here at 1 o'clock, most of you are sleeping and fighting for you to ensure that justice is done. That is why some of us are standing here today to attest. And that is why, as a Sasbo, you do need to take a mirror and put it in front of yourself. And make sure that you do not destroy the legacy that has taken you guys to over 100 years. When I was preparing yesterday, as I closed, don't worry, I'm closing. I asked the Lord, Fundis, I asked the Lord to say, what would Joe have loved me to read from the Bible? And the Lord directed me to these 2 verses. One is for the family, and one is for Sasbo. And then I close. One for the family is from the 2 Corinthians 5, verse 8. Rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord. He is in a better place. That's what, I didn't come up with this. I was busy in a workshop yesterday. The Lord directed me to this. He's in a happy place. To be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord. Let's let him go. And I want to thank Sasbo for organizing today, because some of us were able to close and get closure. But he is in a happy place. The last verse, which is one for Sasbo, from 2 Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award me. Now, let's all agree here. All of us have got faults. None of us can say we are perfect. But he's run his race. He's kept the faith. It's up to you, Sasbo. Sfiso just closed off with challenging Sasbo, which is one thing that I wanted to also do. You've got a baton now. You have to choose whether you continue with the race or you contribute towards the unjust behavior by your infighting. Because if you do, the laws are there. There's no injustices from a law perspective. We have a constitution. If there's a problem, go and challenge the constitution. The problem is the unjust behavior. If you do not watch us from an unjust behavior, because I'm a human being, and you're busy doing infighting, you are yourself a contributor towards unjust behavior. Siyabonga, mama. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Milane. We have heard. We are really listening, and we have heard. I think what we can assure, the comrades, is that the intention is to truly build on, the work that GS, has done, not only to sustain it, but also to improve it. And indeed, GS fought a very good fight in representing, the members of Sasbo and the employees. Let me call on our next speaker. And stakeholder, the CEO of Bankmed, Mr. Teddy Musomotani. I hope I said your surname correctly, sir.
You did exceptionally well, Program Director. Thank you very much. Let me first and foremost start by greeting you, through whom I've been able to have the opportunity to get to this podium, because you could have changed your mind about me having an opportunity to say a few words. Thank you very much. Secondly, I want to immediately go to the family and relay my greetings and condolences, and indicate that I would like to think that in your journey of healing, you embrace the fact that God's grace is sufficient. And all the best. My greetings are also accompanied by an appreciation of the opportunity that today presents to us to pay respect to a remarkable leader that we dearly loved. Now, as I wrap up my greetings, I want to not necessarily follow each and everything that had been said in as far as acknowledging the dignitaries who have blessed us with their presence today in the interest of time. But I do want to acknowledge, the governor and the president of Sasbo, whom I have met for the first time today. We are meeting at a time when Brajo has already been laid to rest, and one would hope that the journey of healing is progressing very well. But I do appreciate that it is still early days, so I would like to believe that I could be reinforcing our healing when I say to the family especially, keep the faith, me wena le family ya hao. Draw strength from a song that I like a lot on occasions like this by Tsepo Tola, which is entitled Hulugile. Even though God may have taken from us somebody that we love dearly, let's accept the state that we are in today and say, Hulugile. Whether the devil likes it or not, the sun will rise again tomorrow. In that is the hope that I felt when Brajo called me, by the way, when my mother passed away way back in 2022. He took time out of his busy schedule and made sure that he reaches out to talk to me. And I came out of that conversation knowing that although it was dark at that specific moment, the sun would rise again tomorrow. Today, I would like to return the strength to you that I got from the conversation that I had with Ndate Joe. By the way, I thought I was the only one who called him Brajo. I've just realized today that we all called him Brajo. Madam Program Director, you were hesitant about referring to us as comrades. I want to take it a step further and say, long live the spirit of Brajo, long live. I must confess, coming to this building today, knowing that I will not see Brajo, left me with a very odd feeling. Now, in the midst of that feeling, even I have to say to myself, and I want to relay this message to Sasbo as well, it's going to be tough, but I'm confident that it's going to be all right over time. Whenever I come here, I must say, however, I do feel like I come to the real head office. And this is because of the leadership that I enjoyed from Brajo and the role that Sasbo plays in the partnership that we have. And by we, I mean Bankmed. And the last time I was here, comrades, Brajo was facilitating a very difficult conversation where we were dealing with a variety of difficult matters. And again, I witnessed a solid leader in Ndate Joe. I reiterate that I've never come across a leader who found a balance between exercising his authority without hesitation on one hand, because once Brajo was clear about what the direction of travel should be, he would express it without hesitation. At the same time, he created room in that conversation for different perspectives to float and be embraced, while steering Sasbo and his stakeholders towards the right direction. I would walk away from those engagements very committed to the resolutions that we would have taken in the course of those discussions, primarily because of having enjoyed the leadership that was given by Brajo, but also because of the respect that we as Bankmed have for Sasbo. The promise that I want to make to Sasbo today is that that commitment that we have devoted to our engagements and the respect that we have afforded you over the years of our partnership so far will certainly continue in honor of Brajo. After the last discussion that we had here, we had lunched and we enjoyed some relaxing time. And one of the things that I also observed from Brajo is that as we had started eating, many of us, he wasn't eating yet. He was going around the room trying to make sure that everybody is looked after. Now, therein is leadership again, in that Joe appreciated that leaders eat last. What a privilege I have had to have had access to such a remarkable leader who prioritized the needs of his people and understood that leaders eat last. In closing, I want to thank Brajo's family for having shared him with us. And to Sasbo, I want to reiterate the point that it's going to be tough, but I'm confident that it's going to be all right. Long live the spirit of Brajo, long live. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mosomotane. Indeed, GS was always the last man standing. You would never find him eating until the last person has actually dished. He would wait for you. That was the type of leader and, man and father that we've all gotten to know him as. Mr. Mosomotane, I was a bit worried, that with GS gone, we'd start seeing our contribution increases spike a bit, and I guess it actually indicates the influence that GS had. So please do not disappoint us. Comrades, let me call to the podium our stakeholder from Uni Global. Point of correction, we have a video stream from Uni Global by Mr. Keith Jacobs. Thank you.
Good day, comrades. My name is Keith Jacobs. I'm the Regional Secretary for Uni Africa. I bring you greetings from the rest of the Uni Africa members across the continent. We were all saddened when we heard the news of the passing of the Sasbo General Secretary, Comrade Joe Kela. Comrade Joe served for several years on the Uni Africa Executive Committee. During his tenure as a member of the Uni Africa Executive Committee, Comrade Joe always stressed the importance of unions to be prepared for the technological changes that was brought about by the several companies, and in particular in the banking sector. During his tenure as the president of Uni Africa Finance, Comrade Joe impressed on unions to make sure that they modernize with times, that they ensure that they do represent their members. Comrade Joe was a staunch supporter of the Uni Africa campaign to build collective bargaining power through organizing. This he actively did with the Uni Africa campaign that we had with Sasbo to organize workers at Capitec. Through that organizing campaign, Capitec got recognition, Sasbo got recognition at Capitec, and entered into collective bargaining with the bank. When we informed our members and our affiliates across the continent, the leadership of all the unions was once in the messages that they sent to Uni Africa to say that we are saddened by the passing of Comrade Joe. Uni Africa pass our condolences to the family that are left behind, and we are pass condolences to Sasbo. We wish you all the best during this difficult time of grief, during this difficult time of having to find now another General Secretary to lead the organization. Wish you all the best, and also all the best during this memorial services. Amantla, may the soul of Comrade Joe Kela rest in eternal peace.
Can I please get assistance to adjust this thing? Comrade Mine, thanks. I use my strength wisely. You know, yeah, that's better. Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you so much from Uni Global, Mr. Keith Jacobs, our regional secretary for the Africa region. Indeed, Amandla, awethu. The next speaker is the General Secretary from COSATU, Comrade Solipetwe. Comrade GS was unable to make it, however, he did send a note that he asked that we read. It is from COSATU General Secretary Solipetwe, message of support for Sasbo General Secretary Joe Kela Memorial, dated 8th February 2025. It reads thus: Program Director, the family of Comrade Joe, leaders and members of our affiliate Sasbo, comrades and friends, it is with a heavy heart that we are here to pay tribute to our late General Secretary, Comrade Joe Kela. We are here to offer our sincere condolences and best wishes to the family and friends of Joe. Your loss is our loss. Whilst Joe has completed his journey, his memories remain. We have come a long way with Joe. He was a member of COSATU's Central Executive Committee over many years. His contributions were marked by humility and with a desire to find solutions. Joe was a stalwart of our beloved Union Sasbo. He served it over so many years and in many positions, most critically as President and General Secretary. It is not easy to be a leader of a union. The expectations of workers are immense. The challenges are daunting. Yet the power at your disposal often is far less than you need to resolve them. Yet Joe tried tirelessly to serve workers, to represent their interests and negotiate and fight for their demands. This was not an easy task in the banking and financial sector, where employers have long sought to pay workers a slave wage, to undermine organized labor and collective bargaining. My apologies. Press, can I please have some water? Thank you, Praise. Yet, under Joe and Sasbo's leadership, managed to ensure that the overwhelming majority of banking and financial sector workers joined our mighty affiliate. During 2017, it was Sasbo and its collective leadership that captured the attention of the entire country with their mobilization for nationwide banking sector strike. It was only the last minute court interdict by business that could stop it. Again, it was that Sasbo's historic action which struck fear into the heart of capital that created history. Whilst business won the first battle with a court interdict, it was later overturned in favor of workers. When workers were dismissed by the banks during COVID-19, it was Sasbo with COSATU that intervened to have them reinstated. Since the national minimum wage was achieved by COSATU and the ANC-led government, Sasbo has pushed employers across the finance sector to improve the wages and won important victories benefiting thousands. This is the power of workers when they are united and organized. We are here today to honor Comrade Joe. Whilst we pay tribute to him at this moment, if we truly want to honor his memory and legacy, we must commit ourselves to uniting Sasbo, to building a militant Sasbo, to servicing workers, to recruiting the unorganized, to defending the hard-won rights of all workers. Comrades, Sasbo was built by workers like Joe and so many others of his generation, many of whom are, and countless others before us, for more than 100 years. We must not take their efforts and sacrifices lightly. Sasbo has been handed down to you to defend, to build, and to nurture. Let us leave here united and determined to build a united fighting Sasbo that will defend the rights and improve the lives of our workers and members. COSATU is here to work with you to honor the memory of Joe and do justice to our workers. It will not be easy, but if we put aside our differences, we can, must, and will succeed. We will be with you for every step of the journey. Thank you. And he says, Amandla. And thank you to the General Secretary of COSATU, Comrade Soli Petwe. The next item on our program is the messages from the BEC, the Branch Executive Committee structures. I'm not sure if it's a video stream of the messages. Comrade Tabi? Apologies, comrades. Perhaps, sorry? Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you, Sam. Leaders, we'll move to the next agenda. I almost said agenda. One of those. You can't help it, you know, when you're a comrade. To the next point in our program. Unfortunately, the former president could not make it, Comrade Moses Lekota. However, he did send a little note which I will read. So, apologies, just give me a second. I'm not sure if I should actually read this into record. So Mr. Lekota had an emergency to attend, and hence he is unable to join us today. Let us welcome to the podium our former Sasbo General Secretary, Comrade Sean Ulshach. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I must say that when I got the invitation to attend, today's memorial service, I actually sat with a bit of a conundrum, because what do you say about a man such as Joe, who achieved so much in his life and made such a difference in so many people's lives? And after much thought, decided to talk a little bit about the man, Joe, who I knew and worked very closely with, and what he did and how he did it. Joe Kela was born on the 10th of February, 1968, and grew up in Shoshanguve, around about 30 kilometers north of Pretoria. He was married to Iris Kukela and has a daughter, Bulewa, and a son, Sibusisu. Joe was a very special man. He had a very special way with people. And he was just great with people. He was passionate about people and their welfare and their plight. He cared deeply for those who were suffering, and he was always very friendly. He had a smile and a laugh which was entirely infectious. Just watch it, I'm going to start getting some tears in my eyes just now. He always had a deep respect for others and their views, and was a true leader, very much liked and respected by others. Whilst saying this, by no means was Joe a pushover. He could be as tough as nails, strong, and very hard in need. Joe was so extremely passionate and dedicated to serving his members. Or should I say, our members. It still remains my members. To serving our members, Sasbo, and the labor movement, both locally and internationally. And this was in addition to him still doing his normal job as a general manager within Absa. Now this, I must say, is extremely rare. From past experience, generally, most people in those positions would either have stopped being active within the trade union or even resigned from the union. But I think as we know, that was not Joe. In addition to his major union activities, Joe was also very extremely committed to his family. And he was always telling me how proud he was of his children. Joe's contribution to his members, the union, and the labor movement was immense. He will be so, or his passing will be so very much missed. He will be so very much missed. The world will be so much poorer, and he has created a major vacuum for Sasbo and the labor movement. Many years ago, and that is what I want to talk about, is where Joe came from in terms of the labor, in terms of Sasbo and the labor movement. I want to start at the beginning. Many years ago, Joe became a member of the Pretoria Branch Executive Committee. And at AGMs, he could be very vocal around member matters and issues. And I must say, he actually at times gave me a very hard time. Now that is where I first got to know Joe. In the late 90s, Joe was elected to serve on the union's management committee. Now there, we still, to a large extent, continued to differ a little bit. And we had some good arguments. However, at some point, him and I sat down and we spoke. Now that was Joe's way. And we spoke and we said, why are we continuing to differ and argue? Because our aims and goals are the same. We are there to serve our members, the union, its staff, and the trade union movement. And that is where our relationship started to build or turn in towards a more positive relationship and a much more mutual respect. In 2000, Joe was elected president of the union and chairman of the management committee. And at the same time, I was appointed as general secretary. Joe was 32 and I was 37. This, to my knowledge, were or is the youngest that I'm aware of in terms of president and general secretary. And there were many who were extremely skeptical around these young men who were appointed to such positions. However, these skeptics were soon proved wrong. And Joe as president, myself as general secretary, Deputy General Secretary Ben Fenter, and who, just by the way, was more or less the same age as Joe, together with the management committee of the time, took this union to new heights. And it just grew and grew, financially, in every different way. This union just grew. Membership, financially, we I can't go into everything. I could sit here. Initially, I sat down and I started writing, and I thought, no, I need to keep it a little bit shorter. Now, sorry, I'm going to talk a little. I'm known to talk a bit. When you give me the microphone, I can talk. Once again, Joe, at the point he was elected as president, insisted, and I agreed, that we always, because it was so important to our members, the union, our staff, and labor movement, continue to nurture and strengthen our relationship. He said that if we were not working together and fighting each other, it would not be in the best interests of the member, the union, and labor movement, and could ultimately become destructive. Now, that is an important message I would like to leave with our, the members, the management committee, and the structures. Do not fight. Work together in unity. And that is the only way this union can and will move forward. It cannot do anything else. The president, the general secretary, and management committee need to work together. It's fine to differ, but talk. Come to a point where you are all comfortable. You can all move forward. Unless if things are not urgent, put it off to the next meeting. As I say, that was one of the key ways in terms of how Joe and I operated and worked. And I believe that was very much part of the success of the union during those times. Having said what I have said about Joe's service, Joe's passion, his commitment and dedication to our members, the union and the labor movement, I would maybe like to explain why I have said so. Because if I don't, people will actually not know the extent to which Joe was committed and worked for this union. And I would like to share that with you. I think, as I've said before, many years ago, Joe joined and served on the Pretoria Branch Executive Committee. Joe was elected and served on the union's management committee. Joe served on the Absa Institutional National Council and the Absa negotiating team. He also was involved in many other issues in regard to other institutions, I think, as we have heard. Joe represented Sasbo at the COSATU Executive Committee and other COSATU forums. Joe served as the president. In 2007, Joe was seconded by Absa to serve Sasbo on a full-time basis. And this with Joe, this with Absa still continuing to pay Joe as a general manager within Absa. And I think this was groundbreaking. You know, although it was an interesting time, but maybe let's not go there. Those who know will know about that particular issue. Joe served on the board of trustees of Bankmed, and that obviously to being representing the members' interests on Bankmed. Joe was elected president of Uni Global Union. Now, I don't know how much you know about Uni. It is an international trade union federation worldwide, which has a membership of approximately 23 million. That was the last time I knew. It could be higher. And as I say, he was elected as president of the African finance sector, and obviously chairman of their executive. Now, just out of interest, and once again, it is something that none of you probably know. Sasbo is the world's biggest finance sector union. Now, I don't know if you actually realize that. It's probably the biggest and the oldest. Now, that is extremely important. It is something that needs to be nurtured and respected, because Sasbo is a different union. You know, our members are bank employees. They are white-collar members, and their way of wanting to deal with issues is talk. They generally don't want to go to the streets and strike. And that was always interesting. And I can guarantee you, we often used to send out ballads to our members when we got stuck with negotiations. And I can tell you when we did that, the particular banks got the fright of their life. And we suddenly ended up sitting and talking, and ultimately came up with an agreement. Referred it back to our members. Some were happy, some weren't. But after feedback, we ultimately agreed. Joe also served on the Uni Global Union Executive Committee, and obviously, as I'm sure you know, was appointed General Secretary in, I think, 2016. And I think from there on, his commitment to this union just grew from strength to strength. Personally, I believe that this very clearly demonstrates the total commitment and dedication that Joe had to his members, Sasbo, its staff, and the labor movement, both locally and internationally. Even more so if you think that a lot of this was on a voluntary basis, no remuneration, over and above his position as general manager of Absa and outside of normal working hours and late into the night. During all this time, Joe and I developed a huge respect for each other and built such a very strong bond. We became true comrades, friends, and saw each other as brothers. I could say so much more about Joe, but it is probably time for me to stop talking. See, I can take liberties with that, because I'm the past General Secretary. In closing, I would like to maybe share 3 things about Joe that will always make me think very fondly about him and make me smile or chuckle a little bit. This was firstly Joe's ability to walk. Now, almost every time him and I traveled overseas to various countries in Africa and Europe and so on, attending meetings, we would land, check into our hotel, and very shortly thereafter, Joe would come knocking on my door and saying to me, "Let's go for a walk." Subsequently, we ended up walking and exploring the town or the city for hours, and at the same time, talking and discussing so many issues. I must admit that although I never said anything to him, I really at times struggled to keep up with him. And I think he knew this. And I think he knew it very well. But silently, he was enjoying seeing me struggle to keep up with him. That was Joe. The other 2 things is when we almost got each other arrested. The one time in Rome and the other time at the Dubai airport. The first issue in Rome is when now we had to go to the police station from an insurance point of view. And eventually they realized my camera, and immediately they thought, this is the criminal. I've now brought the criminal in. Quite a lot of persuasion to say to them, no, this is my friend. The next commander of the specific branch, and we eventually got an English form. But at least Joe has been arrested. The other issue was in the Dubai airport, and we were quite irritated. Now, one of the issues was, we all think racism and so on doesn't happen in the rest of the world. Ask him for his documents and so on, and ask him what he's coming to do, and, What we did is we said, okay, I'll go through first. I'll show them the documents and so on, and if they give you hell, as me, why are you giving him such a hard time? And in the Dubai airport, and I was upset because I was so tired. And harshly. The only problem is I used the customs officials respond. The F word, I complained and said, how can you use that? What are you saying? Had his turn of rescuing me. If he hadn't, I'm sure they would have arrested me. 3 little things will always make me think so fondly of Joe. And as I say, give me and Sibusisa. Our hearts are with you. And we are very so sad for your loss. Joe, with your passing, your pain and suffering is now over. I'm sure that you will be watching over all of us to make sure that we continue with your legacy. Joe, my president, my comrade, my friend and brother, may you now rest in peace. Hambakale, Joe. Farewell. Thank you.
General Secretary, thank you so much. GS, there was a point when you said I should probably stop talking now. And then a minute later, there were 2 last items, right? And GS, he would usually do that. He would start talking about something, and then he would say, one last other thing, right? And then it would go on for a solid 5 minutes, and then he said, one last other thing, right? Yeah. You really shared, and I don't want to say summarize, it would really sound unjust, but really shared GS's journey, with us. And yes, he was from Pretoria, but let me not even start there because I might just be called to order. But GS was really a leader, and he loved to share stories and experiences, about places, that he've been to, where he comes from. And I don't know if many of you know that GS was actually in the taxi industry. And when he would start now that story, you must know that your meeting will start 3 hours later. Comrades, let me call to the podium our Acting Deputy General Secretary, Advocate Philip Landman. Comrade Philip also tends to be a storyteller. Thank you.
Thank you, DP. I've got 1 page with cryptic notes that translates into about 45 minutes of. No, the privilege that I have speaking about the General Secretary is immense. But before I start, let me just, because the thing about talking last is that a lot of what you wanted to say has already been said. So thank you, Hamilton, for covering, let me just say, paragraph 2. Tabu, thank you for covering paragraph 3. Sean, you've covered 4, 5, 6, and 7 on my behalf. To the family of Ntate Kela, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, esteemed guests, family, friends, and colleagues. See, DP, that's how you do it if you want to cover everyone. I stand before you today to celebrate, and I need your jacket now, Terence, because this black one is not working anymore. To celebrate the life of a remarkable individual, Joe Kela, the General Secretary of Sasbo. And if I stop at a moment or two, it's because I am a little bit emotional about it still, and bear with me. Joe's passing has left an immense void in our lives. But as we gather and pay our respects, we also honor his legacy and the indelible mark he left in our hearts. Joe was more than just a leader. He was visionary. He dedicated his life to fighting for the rights of workers. I can say that without just standing here and saying it for the sake of saying it. Those people who knew him would echo those sentiments. He had tireless efforts, unwavering commitment, and unshakable optimism inspired countless individuals. me included, to stand up for their rights and demand a fairer deal. Under his leadership, Sasbo grew in strength and influence, becoming a formidable force in the labor movement. He was one of those few unionists that understood the fine balance. This is important. He understood the fine balance between workers' rights and employers' rights. He had insight. I have many fond memories of the late General Secretary. And Hamilton, you started talking about that. You know, when I came over as Absa AGS, that's about 7, 8 years ago. So by the way, when I came over from corporate to work for the union, I thought I'm going to be here for 5 years, and now it's 15. I must have enjoyed it to work with Ntate Kela. But in any event, to come back to that specific meeting, I think you referred to it as well, and you said it was 1 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't 1 o'clock. Well, you just said 1 o'clock, and people probably thought it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That was 1 o'clock in the morning. Terence, you may have been part of that meeting as well, but it wasn't 1 o'clock, Hamilton, it was 2 o'clock. And I came over from corporate, from the private sector, and worked for the union. I thought, now, I'll have a more relaxed time now, until I had that meeting. And I realized the man is committed. Johan, you were also in that meeting, I remember. You must have been. Joe, with his trademark and collected demeanor, because that was a difficult meeting, in an assertive manner, at some point in time, stood up and he said, we're not leaving this meeting until we have a fair deal for our members. And as I said, we walked out at 2 o'clock this morning. Now I hear that it wasn't that fair for SBV, but it was fair for us. His door was always open. And I mean that literally. Whenever you arrived at this office, you had the freedom without appointment to go and see him. And so we did. From the person that worked at the gate to the AGSs, the DGS, were always welcome in his office. A member could walk in and see the General Secretary. You did not have to make an appointment with him. He had a good sense of humor and often used metaphors and stories to diffuse tense situations. I recall a time when we were preparing for negotiations and tensions were running fairly high. And then he started talking about cheese and who stole our cheese, who took our cheese. And everyone in the room was very confused. What the heck are we listening to cheese and cheese being taken now? Until we actually found out that it's about the book, I think it's called Who Took Your Cheese, or meaning that there's a bigger picture and that you have to pivot, you have to move, you have to amend your ways, you have to adapt from time to time. And that made such an impression on me. And I think it's something that unions and unionists can take out of the book of Joe Kela. He cared, as someone's already said, don't know who it was, deeply for the underdog, for the person that worked under circumstances that weren't always ideal. And he gave opportunities and chances to everyone. No matter, you just have to show commitment and promise, and then he will give you the opportunity. There's a lot of my colleagues in this room that can attest to that. Best example, probably, our tele-recruiters. He did not like if I called them tele-recruiters. It was the tele or the tele-organizers. We had a unit here in Sasbo House, 10 people, more or less. Catherine, you were part of it as well. You led them for many, many years. And lockdown came, and lockdown gave us problems because all of a sudden a whole unit was not able to do their work anymore, not properly. Today, all of those people have been placed in regions. He didn't walk away from the problem and said, you are now no longer wanted. And there's people in this room, I'm just going to stop mentioning names, that are today top recruiters in the union as a result of him giving them opportunities. He believed not only in fighting for members, but he believed in a person should get a chance that wants a chance. For that, I will always remember him. His legacy will live on through the countless lives that he touched, the struggles that he fought, and the victories that he won. As we say our final goodbyes, we take comfort in the knowledge that his spirit will continue to inspire and motivate us all. Rest in peace, dear Joe.
And then it's Kela, it's Nomi, it's Robert, myself, and Joe Konsela, and each of the other comrades this morning. So what we did, we want to say to you, you must smile and wave.
Everyone.
Thank you. this country or any other unit who have been taken care of like Sasbo. So you come first, and as you come first, we know that we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that at the end of the day, you guys are really, really proud to be the member of Sasbo.
Thank you. Those were the messages from the branch executive committees, stakeholders, and everyone who GS, or rather held GS very close to their heart. I think it's very evident, from what we've just seen, that GS played a very integral part, in many of our lives, in one way or another, and he shaped some of us into the leaders that we are, and those messages are testament to that. Let me call to the podium the Sasbo president for his message. Thank you.
Asina luvalo ngalento esiyenza. Asina luvalo ngalento esiyenza. Amandla awethu. Viva Sasbo, viva. Live the spirit of Comrade Joko Kela, long live. Thank you very much. Our Deputy President, Comrade Rosemary Rauleka, the management committee that is here at this point in time, my DGS, the former president in his absentia, was supposed to be here. I'm going to have a 1 2 1 2 1 2. The former president of Sasbo, Comrade Moses Lekota, he was supposed to be here, and then we did hear that he couldn't be here. Of Sasbo, Comrade Sean, in that we also acknowledge your presence. The Sasbo former President Moses Lekota and Comrade Sean, those are the general secretary. Because when the general secretary was the president of Comrade Moss, and subsequently Comrade Moss became the general secretary of the same thing. Comrade Sean was the general secretary. Comrade but he was actually the forebearer, because when he left Comrades, the leadership of COSATU, also led by Comrade Zingni Salosi. I know the GS of COSATU was supposed to be in Africa here, led by Comrade Keith. We did get the message, the family, the leadership of different messages that you, Comrade, have actually shared. The staff that is present, members of our organizations, are actually the owners of Sasbo. That's actually what I saying all the time. But comrade, just to be on the safe side, let me say all protocol observe. Receive my revolutionary greetings today. Comrades, today we are here to pay a tribute to this unsung hero of our time, Tate Joe Kela. Never have I imagined in my wildest dream that one day I'll be standing here paying tribute to the great memory of leadership, great memory of love, care, fatherhood, and brotherhood, as well as stewardship. That is the depiction of what Comrade Joe was to me. Comrade Joe was a dedicated leader to his people, a man who walked a journey of honor till his last day. To me, he was a gallant fighter. He was a father. To me, he was a mentor. I want to touch a little bit on my relationship with Comrade Joe. Unfortunately, I heard some of our leaders from different institutions, they say they will call him Brajo. Unfortunately, when I say to him Brajo, he'll keep on saying, Ewena son, you are very young. You can't call me Brajo. You can't. So it was difficult for me to call him Brajo. I'll call him GS. We used to have calls with him. We used to have, I think for the year 2023, for the year 2023, some of the stuff that you mentioned, we know it was a little bit difficult in the organization. Managed to steer things all right. We used to have calls. I used to have a call with him every day. Hour. We'll speak from 8 o'clock. If it's 8 o'clock, we'll speak from 8 o'clock, sometimes till about that. Got a very young son. Every time when son will come running, he will want to disturb me all the time. And I say, yeah. In this other year, there was a resolution that was supposed to be adopted by the Congress that spoke of force majeure. We were thinking that force majeure is going to bring us problems. Touches me and giving me some challenges. I said, GS, I've got force majeure, give me some challenges, and we'll laugh about it. My kids loved the GS so much. GS will, when we leave the management committees, is us. Every time we end our call with the GS, he will every time when we speak, I will say, he actually liked how I speak. My suit is different, so he liked that. Times we'll have different views. He was so easy to give in. When I speak to GS, he was so easy to give in. Late at night, those night meetings, yeah, they are reality. We had a meeting, management committee late at night. It was a very heated discussion. And then when we were about to close the meeting, and then he said, comrades, we're going to have a P&M conference in Cape Town. I would like management committee to give me 3 names, excluding the president. The president will come, but now management committee give me 3 names. Now I had one comrade, he's not a member of management committee now. Hey, that comrade. And then he keeps phoning me. Press, please make sure I want to be there because I want to experience. And I said, first, wait, man, wait. And then after the meeting, I phoned the GS. Hey, GS. Yes, Mafa, yes, Pressy. I said, no, GS, man, because of this PNM is here in Cape Town, and I believe it will be the first exposure for management committee. I think it's important that we allow all of them to go because it's here in Cape Town. Maybe when we have international trips, we'll try to see how we juggle around. And the GS was like, Mafawatu, you are correct. Tell them, all of them, they must go. Immediately after I dropped, here's this comrade. You know that comrade. Yes. Force, hey, please, press, please, man, make sure that. I said, no, man, everyone is going. You don't have to convince me. Everyone's going to go to PNM Congress that will be in Cape Town. Comrades were very happy, and we went to PNM. There was quite a lot of things that we learned. I realized how in uni how they respected it. The GS was well respected. He was well respected. When he goes aside, it's everyone. And he said to me, Mafa, one day I will introduce you to quite a lot of these people. I'll introduce you. Don't worry, Mfanaka. We'll go places and stuff. It is said that it couldn't materialize. The respect I enjoyed from the GS was so enormous. He never even, on a set day, undermined my office as the office of the president. The first person who respected the office of the president when I became the president was him and the office staff. It was a challenge. It was a very challenging period when I became a president. It was a challenging, it really challenged and tested my faith as a person. But he made sure that at least I understand, I don't break, I don't throw toys around. He respected me so much. When I came for the first time to the office, comrades will still say, hey, chair, because I was the chairperson of Ekurhuleni, even though I was not at that time, because I was already the president, they will still call me chair, the comrades. But when I got to the office, the first person I met was president. I got to learn that I'm now called president and stuff. I said to him, hey, GS, I'm gonna have to take time to get to the understanding that I'm the president. He said, no, my brother, you'll take things step by step. Comrades, every time we had a conversation with GS, he will always tell me that we are going to communicate in two or three different ways. Three different ways, yeah. He said, I'm gonna address you in 3 different ways. The first way of my address to you, I will address you as my child. If you are giving me problem, I'll address you as my child. The second, he will say, I'll also address you as my brother. We'll talk like brothers. You show me how you feel, I'll show you how I feel. The last one, I'll address you as a president. That's how we agreed on that, to say we'll have to work like this. On organizational work, Comrade GS love Sasbo so much, and he'll spend even his holidays. Spend his holidays. He'll tell me that I'm going somewhere, and the next thing I'll get a call from him. GS, didn't you say you? I said, yeah, Madam Chana, I wanted to check okay. I'll have to listen to him. We'll talk. I mean, I've never seen an organization where people are working together in the way Sasbo people are working. Members, officials felt so safe around the GS. He was capable of solving very complex matters that will take some of us years and years to solve. He served with love and humility. Served with love. Secretariat meetings, 7 key objectives. I can tell you. The 7 key objectives, I remember, but I won't say the name. When we went to the offsite secretariat now in November or December, Advo, there's a comrade who came, but I will never say that comrade's name. That comrade said, hey, I hope advocate is not going to give us 7 key objectives because we're going to start from 8 and we're going to leave at 5. I was like, probably you're going to get, because Advo is capable of giving you guys 7 key objectives. But I like the passion that you will push the 7 key objectives. I like that passion when you speak about the 7 key objectives. I don't think there will ever be anyone who present the 7 key objectives the way Comrade GS will present the 7 key objectives. I will attend different meetings with Comrade GS. We'll come from one meeting to another, to another, to another. Hey, you know, with me, it was like a torture because I will hear 7 key objectives now. And then we go to the next meeting. I hear it again. The next meeting, I hear it again. By the time I come out of that, I'm a tape recorder. I know everything by heart. You'll bring at any topic of any kind or discussion, you'll be shocked how the GS will tackle it and provide a way forward that is reasonable and that is future-oriented. He was always ready for anything. You'll bring anything, he was always ready. He will never say, give me some time, let me. He was ready for anything. When there's time to laugh, GS will laugh with everyone, yet when there's time to work, he will work. He'll be a different person. You'll be shocked that, I was laughing with him outside. Now, you know, he was that kind of a person. To Sasbo members, he was equally the father of Sasbo. Every break, if let's say maybe there's INC, Champions Forum or NEC, every break you'll see members queuing on the line. All of them, they want to speak to the GS. You'll see members queuing. Ne? And what was so interesting about the GS, and I said to him, GS is going to take me time to learn this. GS will know everyone's name and their surname. You will remember it. Hi, bro. This person will tell us their name. The following day, I will just say, comrade. You say, no, call him by, I forgot the name, but now we'll come with the name. I said, no, his name is blah, blah. You even know the clans, the clan names. You know the clan names. Hey, Nyambo, Simkacha, you know. Where did GS get all these things? GS will remember a conversation he had with 100 different people, and he'll address everyone different and in a special way. Everyone. You speak to him, you live there special. You'll feel like I was the only, he was only interested in me. Can't you know? There's quite a lot of people that he was also interested in. When the GS engaged the stakeholders about members' issue, he'll pull no punches. In the boardroom, he was a fierce and always the first to march on the line to defend the gains of our members. He will never pull any punch. He will throw all the toys. The level of respect entrenched in the whole office towards the members, all members will be treated with highest level of experience, of respect. I remember at some point when I came to the office, I was still the chairperson of Ekurhuleni. I realized that, these people are respecting us so much. I just went, there's a lady who used to work at the reception, but I won't say that because it happened some years ago. I came here and I just went like, can you please make me coffee? Like I was just kidding. And the lady jumped and went and made coffee. Like, hey, the GS has actually entrenched the culture of respect. No one in the office. You can go to regional office, you'll never find anyone disrespecting. Can never. If there's any disrespect that you'll find from our offices, from the regions, from anywhere, you must know it's because the GS is no more. And we'll never allow anything of that kind. We'll always ensure that the respect is there. We are not going to negotiate when it comes to respect for members and also the respect for the officials. We are not going to negotiate. We are going to run on the very same track. The GS will attend all activities of different BCs, even if the activities were planned on the same day. You'll remember June 16 activities, he will start from Pretoria. After Pretoria, he'll be in Ekurhuleni. After Ekurhuleni, he's in Joburg, Vaal, Midrand. And then when there's that time where we are enjoying and we are dancing, he will dance with us. He will dance, and the next thing, he's gone. We all appreciated the GS. I was shocked. The last June 16 event in Ekurhuleni when he came, I was shocked. Some of the community members knew him. Oh, no, we know Joe. But I've never seen him in the placards. I've never seen him all over the media. GS lived a very personal, private life, but everyone appreciated him. When he gets home, he'll open his laptop and prepare for the following week. He'll prepare on time. Sometimes when, like at night, like sometimes in the early hours, like maybe I can't sleep, I'm having some insomnia, I'd open the laptop, try to check if there's anything I can do, and I'll be surprised and shocked that how GS is online. And then I phone and then we start our GS hour. We'll speak till the morning. That's how dedicated GS was. GS was dedicated. GS will never have a time to say, no, I'm tired, I want to rest. I've never heard of him saying, I'm going to rest. Sometimes I will say, no, GS, but just rest, Baba. Just rest. Like you're pushing a lot, just rest. He never had time to rest. I learned that at any time, by that doing, I learned that at any time, I also need to learn to open the office for members. Because members will phone. Sometimes, this person is phoning this time. But I learn through his doings that if it's a member, you put everything on the side, you attend. Comrades, the final one, something that actually put our relationship very strong. I had a very strong relationship with GS. Whether people will go out and say whatever they say, had a very strong relationship, I'll tell you. This other year, I was not the president. Then while I was having a conversation with the GS, he said to me, Mafa, can you please come to my office when you have time? I want to have a conversation with you. I don't know whether I should say I was so blessed or I was so lucky, but I had a fond moment with him. He loved me like my father. When I was with him, he made me forget that at some point I lost my real father. He actually covered that space. We'll talk everything. He said, come to the office. I got to the office. Oh, I came here. The mall was not complete. It was still, as I was driving, I don't know what happened. There were some stones there and my tire passed. I got here, I parked there. I went to Mom Louise. I said, no. I spoke to the GS. Okay, the GS was not here. I think he went out, but he was going to come back. I spoke to Mom Louise. I said, Mama, I was here to see the GS, and now that he's not here, I need to make sure that I get my tire fixed. And I think I'll speak to him some other time. He said, no. She said, no, phone him. Okay. GS, I'm at the office, but my tire, wait, Ma, I'm coming. I tell you what GS did. What GS did. I had money, not that I didn't at that time, I had money to buy a tire. He came in and he called a cashier and he called Ulon, Usbali. They went to my car, they took out the wheel. And then we went somewhere, I think it's tire wheel and something. When we got there, I was so shocked. Those guys who are working at the tire place, all of them, they came running to the GS car. I was like, GS, why? He said, no, wait, you'll see. When they fixed the tire, they put a new tire. He paid for my tire. It was a run flat. I mean, it was around 4,000 something, and that time I don't buy a tire for that much. When there's corners here, no, I can't do that. He bought it. And then he gave them some tips. Those guys, they really, really respect. He said to me, Mafa, every time, whether a person is in higher position, whether they are in low, you must give them the respect that they deserve. And if there's a need to appreciate them, you must never pull behind. You must appreciate them. He gave those guys 100. Yeah, of course it's me. Hey, 100 is too much, man. But one day maybe. But 100 was too much. But I appreciated what the GS did. And I realized that this man is very humble, sympathetic, and loving. I respected him so much from that day. Not that I never respected him, or not that I was happy because of the tire, but I realized how he takes people so serious and respect everyone. In times, myself with the GS will have meetings that not everyone will know. And I want to say to all people who are here that it is true that to me, GS, he was my father. He was my father. I do not want to lie. He'd even give me personal advices regarding the family, regarding my kids, regarding home, he will give me. In times we'll have those meetings, Sibu, We'll come here where no one knows. I've had several meetings with the GS, and I will never go around and tell. Only close people will know. I will never go around and tell. I will sit with the GS for 3 hours there. We'll take Sibu, go sit there. You'll sit there. We'll sit with GS for 3 hours speaking. And after that, we'll say, guys, come join us. And then we start talking general and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that the GS did share with me that we spoke about. There's a lot. We spoke a lot of stuff. There's many plans that we had. We had many plans. People will come and say, hey, they're pushing each other. I know that it's not true. We had a very strong relationship of a father and a son, a president and a general secretary. The first time I realized that my father was sick, the GS was sick, was when I attended my first off-site secretariat meeting. He said to me, Mafa kyakula. From that day, things couldn't change. Things never changed. started seeing the life of GS deteriorating, the health deteriorating every day, every hour, every minute. The last time we spoke was after the Chairperson's Forum. He was supposed to attend the second day, and then he phoned me in the early hours. He said, I'm not feeling well. I will send advocate to attend the Chairperson's Forum. I was running the Chairperson's Forum. He attended the day before. The following day, he phoned me in the early hours. He said, no. I said, just, okay, you let me know what's happening. After the Chairperson's Forum, late, I phoned. For the first time, his phone was answered by someone else. He said, that lady said, Umalume. I don't remember what she said. Umalume akekho right. We are taking him to the hospital. He can't speak. That was the last time we spoke. Sad for me, but the struggle will continue. I guess life will always give us very tough challenges. We have to spearhead and continue. Jesus will always be remembered. The corridors of Sasbo will speak his name. Our children, great-grandchildren, they will remember him. They will know him through the corridors of Sasbo, because that's how we knew him. Jesus. Sapuruma sebata. Makwala tete mamali. Khomo mmuso la murung. Ha lla motseng batho ba ronana. Basadi ba ka phasa makwala tete mamaleng. Banna ba ka otla mokorotlo. Kokela wa phatsima. Kokela o le hadimantweng. Amandla. Amandla. Thank you very much.
And as I was I was starting to collect myself, Grace got me again, feeling heavy and overwhelmed. I must say, it's really not easy standing here and listening to everyone and absorbing all of that and still, present a brave face. In leadership, there's always this, it's not a rule, it's how it's supposed to be, right? As a leader, you're not really supposed to own your employees' problems, right? But rather assist them in coming up with solutions and alternatives to their own issues. That was not GS. You come to GS with a problem, he owns it and he runs with it until whatever it is that you are being challenged with is sorted out. And that is the man that we have lost in Sasbo. Before I call to the podium, the Kela family, can I please ask, there's a song that I requested. I just love the song. If you know the lyrics, if you can sing along to it, please. And once the song ends, Sibusiso Kela will join us on the podium. Thank you.
Oh
afternoon, everyone. I'd just like to start by acknowledging the Governor, Chancellor of Stellenbosch University. I would also like to acknowledge all the leadership from Sasbo, as well as all the leadership from all the stakeholders. I would also like to acknowledge everyone that is online, as well as all the colleagues. For the ease of communication, I will refer to everyone as colleagues today, because I see there's a lot of titles, there's comrades and all of that, but I don't think he would enjoy me calling people comrade, because we always fought about politics. So, like program director has said, she has given us strict terms of engagement in terms of no storytelling. And believe me, I could give you guys a lot of stories, because beyond him being my father, he was my best friend and confidant. But I have been nominated by the family to speak on behalf of the family, so I will just proceed and do that. So I greet you all once again. Thank you all for being here today to honor my father. To many of you, he was a leader, a colleague, and a mentor. But to us, he was simply our father. A man who believed deeply in fairness, justice, and standing up for what is right. As the former president, as well as general secretary of this union, he dedicated himself to protecting the rights of bankers. He believed that every worker deserved to be treated with dignity, and he worked tirelessly to make that a reality. But he didn't do it alone, he did it with all of you. On behalf of our small family, I want to express our heartfelt gratitude to his colleagues. You weren't just people he worked with, you were his partners in the fight for fairness and his extended family. Your support, your shared commitment, and your belief in the cause meant the world to us, and it also meant the world to him. My dad was a selfless person. His selflessness was one of his greatest strengths, but also one of his vulnerabilities. He gave so much of himself to others that at times he couldn't even see when taken advantage of. But that did not deter him from who he truly was. Whether it was securing better working conditions, advocating for fair pay, or simply lending a listening ear, he always put people first. As we leave here today, let us remember that his legacy isn't just in the victories he or the organization achieved, but rather in the values he instilled, as well as the lessons he has shared with all of us. So let us not only honor his memory, but also commit to living by the principles he stood for. My father's life was a testament to the power of selflessness, and his legacy challenges all of us to do more, and to be better, and to always fight for what is right. So colleagues, I urge you to unite and not allow for any form of politicking, nor greed to drive a wedge and destroy this union. I urge you to please not disappoint this man. Thanks.
I say a prayer every night.
Thank you so much, Spusiso. You know, I like that you said you don't want to call us comrades, right? And yet you observed protocol like a proper comrade. Thank you so much. Before we get to the vote of thanks, Sasbo would like to present the Kela family with a token of honor from the union for the life and work that she has has dedicated his life to. I'm not sure who's going to receive on behalf of the family.
I'll get it right with no regret, no guilt, no shame this time. No, not this time. Once I surrender, I won't dare look back. 'Cause if I do, I'll get off track. Move ahead in faith and patiently await your answer. What will it be? Sight beyond what I see. You know what's best for me. Prepare my mind, prepare my heart for whatever comes. I'm gonna be ready, strength to pass any test. I feel like I'm so blessed with you in control. I can't go wrong, 'cause I always know I'm gonna be ready. I was free to do what I wanted to. Lost everything, but I still had you.
Thank you so much. We are in the final stage of our memorial today. On behalf of Sasbo and the Kela family, we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for being here today and to honor and remember our comrade Ntate Kela. Your presence is a powerful testament to the profound impact Comrade GS had on all of our lives. And we are truly grateful for the support, love, and strength you have shown during this difficult time. A special thank you to the speakers and everyone who contributed to making today's service so meaningful. Your words, tributes, and shared memories have helped us celebrate Comrade GS's life in a way that will stay with us forever. Finally, we express our heartfelt appreciation to each of you, not only for joining us today, but for the continued love, comfort, and encouragement you have provided to the Kela family and one another. As we move forward, let us carry with us the lessons that Comrade GS shared, the kindness he embodied, and the legacy he leaves behind. Thank you once again for your presence, your kindness, and your unwavering support. Amandla.